Hi, good morning guys, and welcome back. A new episode this morning. I'm going to do a how-to guide on how to rebuild a dual Vanos unit from an M54. My M54 B30 is currently showing symptoms of a faulty Vanos, so rough running on cold starts, a bit of power loss, especially low down, and mile per gallon is seems a bit low as well. Especially lower than what it was when I first got the engine. The engine's over 100,000 miles. I doubt the Vanos has ever been done, so it's always good to do it. I've got a full kit which I got off X8R. I'll drop a link in the description of where I got it from. Basically it's a full kit, about 158 quid I think it was. But yes, basically a full kit, comes with all the gaskets you need, the seals, needle bearings, rattle rings, sealant, basically everything. I'll show you the kit in a moment. But yeah, so that's the plan for today, for this morning, is rebuild the Vanos, and hopefully it cures any of the issues I'm having. If it doesn't, at least that's done and I can investigate further. But yeah, so that's the plan. So I'm not sure how long it'll be. I'll try to go into as much detail as possible, especially on any of the important things. But yeah, so I'll show you the kit, and then we get started. Okay, so this is a kit, as you see, X8R improved vehicle components. I'll show you what the kit comes with. Right, so you see Vanos gasket. You obviously need one of these. Let's open. New rocker gasket and all the bits for the bolts as well. It's nice and handy. And then this is the main Vanos stuff. You see, so gaskets, plugs, new bolts, some RTV sealant, needle bearings, there's the Vanos seals. These are the main thing that cause the problem. Rattle rings, new bolts, and new caps. So as you can see, basically a full kit. As I said, I think it was £158 online, and I'll drop X8R's description. I'll put their link to their website in the description so you can find out where to get it. Yeah, so that's the plan. I'm going to start getting it all stripped down now and start getting the Vanos removed. So this is the tools required. 19mm spanner, ratchet, torque wrench, torque ratchet, whatever. Long nose pliers, T30 Torx bit, 8mm Allen key bit, 10mm socket, 8mm socket, 11mm socket, 13mm socket, 24mm socket, a pick to help you get the bearings and stuff out of the Vanos, and a snips just in case you need to snip any cable ties. That hold on the plugs, impact gun. You only really need that for taking off the Vanos, opening up the piston. It'll be very hard to do. If you haven't got one of them, you'll have to put it in a vise and there's a chance you damage it. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is all I need. If I need anything else, I'll update you as I go along, but that's the basics. I'm not sure how good this one will work. This long nose pliers is a bit long, really you should have a bend in it. So I might need to use that one. I'll see when I get access to it. Yeah, so that's basically all you need. Right, so first things first, I remove the back cowling where your pollen filter sits, the back cover, just to get access to the top of the rocker cover gasket. So I'll get all that removed, coil packs and so on. Yeah, so I'll start getting all that removed. Alright, so first things first, to get access to the VANOS, you need to remove your fan cowling. If you've got a viscous fan, which I haven't, you'll need a 32mm spanner and a viscous removing tool. If you're lucky, you can put the spanner on and give the spanner a good whack and it might release the viscous for you. If the viscous is stuck on, you'll need a viscous removing tool. It's reverse thread also if you are removing that. Simple enough for me. I just got a fan cowling, which is a T20 Torx bit. One there. The other side is just clipped on with a plastic clip. Undo this. Just undo that. You've got the fan plug, just plugs in there, two push ones on the side, and you've got this then, I don't know what that is, but whatever it is, take that off. And then the fan should just lift up. Like so. Right, so rocker cover needs to come off, obviously. Coil packs need to come out. So just undo them first. Just 10mm each one. 8mm for a little earth that comes off the coil pack loom. So basically just undo them, pull them up out of the way, and just put that to the side. I'll get that done now. Right, so next on the list is these bolts holding the rocker cover down all the way around. 10mm. Just gonna get them off. So that's all the bolts out. Next then, just unclip this pipe, push it in. I need two hands for this one. There you go, so just pop them two bits in, push them in as hard as you can, and then pull it out and it'll pop off. So that's basically that. So take this off now. These spider webs in my injectors. Nice. And so now we have access to the dual VANOS unit. Yeah, so next we get that removed. So to remove the VANOS unit, go away the light. 11mm bolt nut holding on the engine hoist hook, and then there's you can see 10mm nuts, about 5 of them underneath the VANOS. Disconnect the banjo 19mm banjo bolt, just make sure you catch each washer, there's two, one on each side. Then the caps over the VANOS size 8 Allen key, and inside you need to take out the torque bolts, which are T30 and the reverse thread. So righty loosey, lefty tighty. I'll take them off and I'll pull it off and I'll show you rebuilding it. So off. So here's the VANOS unit, very oily. Intake side, exhaust side. The exhaust side, when taking this off, you just have to be careful, there's a spring in it. No spring on the intake side. Yeah, so just a couple of 10mm bolts, 4 on that side, 5 on that side. So do the intake side first. Right, so intake side first. So that's the cover, that's the gasket. So we'll be replacing this gasket. Full of oil. And then this is that's the piston. So these are the seals, 2 in there and 2 there. And then inside here, that's where the needle bearings and the rattle rings are. So I'll just clean this up and then I'll open it up and get the needle rings and bearings out. I'm going to hold the piston in your hand, put a socket on, and this is where you need an impact gun, otherwise you'll have to put it in a vise and you risk damaging the piston. And there you go. So off she comes, as you can see. There's a shim there, and the needle roller bearings and the rattle ring. So just make a bit of space and I'll take that apart, get the new ones fitted. Right, so as I said, first 24mm nut, a little shim or washer, just might need to use a little pick to get the needle rollers out. Another shim or washer. And your next needle roller bearing. It's a bit of a pain in the arse to get the rattle ring out. Rattle ring is out. And there's just one more shim at the bottom. Right, so that's it. That's the piston. What I need to do is just clean it all up and get all the new rattle ring and the new needle roller bearings back in this one. So, all nice and clean. So first of all, new rattle ring. Oh, shim first, I'll put that in 1 second. So rattle ring, shim. Just get a bit of fresh oil as well. So just put a little bit of fresh oil or engine assembly lube, whichever, on all the bits as you put them back in. Just make sure everything's nice and lubed up. So that's first. So the first shim goes back in. Anti-rattle ring, same thing. Just lube it up. Don't have any noise from this VANOS anyway, so don't think this was the issue, probably just the seals, but while you're in here you may as well change all this at the same time. So, as I said, this kit from X8R, it comes with everything, roller bearings, everything, new bolts, the lot. It's a new needle roller, just same thing. Make sure you oil them all up. And it's the thicker of the shims goes on top of the needle rollers. So again, just make sure it's all nice and clean, take all the old oil off it. Bit of fresh oil for lube. And then in on top. And second needle roller. And once again, oil it up. And then the last shim, which is a thin one again, like what's on the bottom. Straighten on top. And then as they put this bolt back on, doesn't seem to be any torque specs for this online, so what I'll do is I'll screw it in by hand, and then I'll ugga-dugga it up exactly the same way as I took it off, and that should be good. That's nice and snug by hand. Get a rag on it. 24mm bolt, 24mm socket, and just ugga-dugga it up. There you go, so that should be tight enough. Right, so that's the piston rebuilt on the inside with new bearings. I just need to do the seals. Just going to get some more mortar now to put the seals in, just to make them a little bit more flexible. Once I've done this one, I'll reinstall it, and I'll move on to the intake side. It's basically the same as this, but there's a spring involved. So yeah, so that's next. I get these seals off this one and get the new ones on. Right, so these are the old seals. They're rock solid, every one of them. New seals, so there's 4 each side. So rubber for top, rubber for bottom. So these are the first ones to go on the piston, and then these are the ones you need to put in hot water, because they're basically rock solid. So put these in hot water. The solid ones, they go on the outside of the rubber rings. I get these in hot water and then I'll show you me putting them on. To get the old rings off, you just need to put a little slice in them. Make sure you don't damage anything inside the piston. Yeah, just put a little slice. Focus. Put a little slice in it and it'll come off. Right, so first rubber seal. Just put a little bit of oil on the seal, fresh oil. So these are the, I don't know if you can see, these are the easy ones to get on. Just to make sure you don't twist or turn the seal over, make sure it's flat all the way around. That's the top one in. So that's the top one in. And then the small rubber one, same thing, put a little bit of oil on it. And once again, when you put it on, don't flip it over. Make sure it's all sitting nice and flush. Right, so I've had these in, these are the harder rings that go on the outside. I've had these in hot water for a few minutes, so hopefully they should be pliable enough to get on now. Once again, don't let them turn over. Right, there you go, all on. And then same with the hard bottom one. And same again, get it in and make sure it doesn't turn over. So that's both of them done. So that's one piston done. I'm gonna take the other one out just so I can clean up the VANOS unit. This one has a spring on it, so just make sure you keep pressure down on it, otherwise it'll fly away. You see, just keep your hand on it. Make sure all the screws come out. Obviously just watch out where the spring comes out. You can only go back in one way, it's a different size on each end, but smaller end against the piston. So spring to one side, there you go, so piston from the exhaust side. Just keep that together. I'll take this one apart. Basically this one is exactly the same as the intake side I've already done, so I won't show you. This one is basically the same thing. Take it apart, swap all the needle rollers and the anti-rattle ring, put it back together, and then get the seals on it exactly the same way as the other one. Yeah, so I'll get this all cleaned up, get them done, put it back together, and we can start getting it back on the car. So that's yeah, so that's both pistons rebuilt. exhaust piston is back in, and intake piston, just lube it up and lube up inside where it sits. And just drop it in. Oh, it just falls in at an angle. That's then back in, so I need to replace these gaskets which are on the back. So take them off now, put the new gaskets on. Just clean up the mating surfaces first. There's no need for sealant on these, just the metal gaskets will do. Right, so both pistons done. New gaskets, just fit the piston, and I've just checked the piston fits nicely, and I've lubed up the inside. So this is the intake side. So just screw these in hand tight. Just make sure they're just nipped up all the way. And the exhaust side, I've checked just to make sure the piston pops in nice and free. Once again, just lube up the inside. And put the piston down on the spring. So this is the exhaust side is the side with the spring on it. And then push down. Once you get it lined up, then just get the nuts back in. Try to keep it flush as you put the nuts in. They should go all the way in by hand. If they don't, you're doing something wrong. Right, so these are 10 Newton meters of torque. 10 socket. As I just make sure they're all nipped up so it's all flush. And then 10 Newton meters. Just do them in a crisscross pattern. Right, so that's it. So spring in the exhaust side and no spring in the intake side. 10 Newton meters. Torque them down. Just make sure before we put it on, clean off the mating surface, get any old sealant off it. Right, so time to fit it to the car. So I've put a new timing cover gasket on, just put a little bit of sealant on it. And then you just need to pop the VANOS unit back on. Just locate it onto the studs. And then just push it straight on. So we just need to put the nuts back in now. So we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 10mm nuts, and then the little 13mm stud on top. Just need to get these on. These small 10mm, they're 10mm or 10 Newton meters of torque. Any torque settings and stuff I'll put in the description anyway. And obviously, if you have any questions, just drop a comment on YouTube and I'll try and answer as best I can. So now we need to put the T30 Torx bolts back in here. I've got new bolts for these. These are reverse thread. Don't forget, so lefty tighten, righty loosen. Also, I haven't got a torque wrench that does torque backwards, so they're new bolts. You should just be able to tighten them up and hopefully not snap them. Yeah, I need to remind myself that it's a lefty tighty, righty loosey. So they're in. Seems tight enough. They're as tight as they were when I took them off, so should be fine. And you need to place these caps. You need to replace these caps back in, which cover them torque bolts. So that's one in. Now this one on the exhaust side was a bit of a pain to get out, mainly because my long nose pliers are a bit too long. I need a bend, one with a bend on the end. Hopefully I can pop it back in. Without too much difficulty. And yeah, there you go, back in. I probably could have popped that back in with my finger rather than. Right, so that's basically the VANOS done. Just need to put these two caps on. Nearly forgot about them. yeah, so I need to put these caps on. I've got new ones. I just use a 8 Allen key. Get them back on. So that's the VANOS unit back on. To put the banjo back on with the 19mm, make sure you put a washer on each side. And then we've got some plugs, the one for the thermostat. Let's move the rag out of the way. And then we've got these two, one for the exhaust cam sensor and one for the VANOS solenoid on the exhaust side, and the same then we've got one for the VANOS solenoid on the intake side. This then goes back onto rocker cover. Yeah, so that's the VANOS pretty much rebuilt, new seals, rattle rings, needle rollers, new bolts, everything's torqued down. I've got a new rocker cover gasket, which I also needed to do as well because that was leaking, so I'm going to get that back on, get everything plugged back in, get engine covers and everything back on. I'll start it up and see what it's like. It's a new rocker cover gasket ready to go on. Just make sure you clean up all the surface just so it makes nice and easy. Just put a bit of sealant just here up on the side, just on where the gap is there where it meets the timing case cover. Same on this one, and there's 2 half moons on the back as well. Just pop a bit of sealant on them 4 half moons. It doesn't really need any sealant anywhere else for the rocker cover gasket. And obviously don't forget to put on the circle ones that cover these. As I said, the gasket comes with a kit as well, and I needed a gasket, so it's pretty handy. I'll get that on now. Alright, so that's the VANOS all done. Took a few hours. Yeah, it took a couple of hours to do. All in all, easy enough job. The only things I didn't use from the kit, from the X8R kit, are these little plugs that plug over the T30 Torx that go into the VANOS, the whole of VANOS onto the actual engine. Mainly because they were solid to get into. Get them back in, they just wouldn't go in, so I used the other ones, but everything else in the kit was seemed pretty decent. Car starts and runs. I'll have to test drive it first to see if it's actually repaired the issue I had, or if it's made any difference to the car or not. But the seals that came out of it were rock solid, so whether they were doing any good or not, I'd never know. But yeah, fingers crossed. That was my issue. If it's not, I'll have to investigate it further. So yeah, that's it. I haven't really done too many guides like this before, so and I'm not sure what I've filmed and what I can actually use or not. But fingers crossed I can put something together. If it is your first time watching my videos and you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and have a look at any of our past videos as well. But yeah, so that's it. Once again, thanks for watching. Next video will be on the V8. Fingers crossed that'll be running very soon. So yeah, enjoy.